Hey there, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to the first bookish video of 2025. Yay! Happy New Year. I'm wishing you the very best for this year and the many more to come. But isn't it just so crazy that we're now in 2025? Today, we have a very exciting video. I'm so looking forward to it. If you read the title right, I'm going to be tier ranking all of the books that I read in 2024. Now, I know this video is coming a little bit late, but I still wanted to have a complete wrap up of all the books that I read in 2024 and share them with you. And I thought a cool creative way to do it is the way that other people on YouTube have been doing it, which is where they rank every single book that they read in the year. Now, I read 38 books in the year, which I'm very proud of. My goal for last year was 30 books, so I managed to surpass my goal, which is great. And so because of that, I think it's very pertinent that we get started with this video immediately, because I will be here and I will continue talking till kingdom come. So we're just gonna try and get through all the books. I hope you get some recommendations from this video, and if you do, or you have any thoughts about anything that I talk about, please let me know in the comments down below. Also, I am sick, as I always am when I come back to uni, so please try and excuse my voice. And lastly, these are all my opinions. Every single thing that I say in this video is my opinion, and what does my opinion mean to you? Not that much, because really we all have opinions and this is a safe space, so please don't feel upset if I attack one of the books that you really love, or if I say that a book that you did not like was really good in my opinion. Guess what? It was my opinion. So let's keep things all nice and friendly and respectful, and let's just continue because I'm so excited. Okay, so I made a tier list. The hope is that editing Nyasha has figured out how to put my little face on the screen at the same time that you see the tier list. If not, this is just gonna be she'll figure something out. She's a smart cookie. But I thought it would be good if we went through the different tiers that I made up. So starting off with the bottom tier, we have A Waste of Paper and A Waste of Your Time. So this is me basically saying don't bother with that book. It's not great. I really don't think I'll have that many books in that tier this year, because last year I don't think I read very many books where I was like, what did I just read? So that's the bottom tier. The next one is I Can See Why It's a Book, just not for me. This once again is just because I probably didn't click with the book. Not that it was a bad book, but just it probably wasn't a book for me. Next we have this sort of the middle tier, which is it was okay, might recommend. If it was a book I would recommend, I'll let you know. This is probably where a lot of the books might go, because I read a lot of books that I'm like, oh yeah, that was okay. Then we have So Good. The fact that there's a third so lets you know that this is the cream of the crop. These are really good books. This is my 4.5 stars and above, or my really good books. And then lastly, we have Changed My Genetic Makeup. This is a book that shook me to my core. It broke me. It put me back together again. It's a book that when people ask me to describe myself, I'll probably insert said book title in the description of myself, because it's just now a part of me. So those are the different tiers that we have, and I feel like we should just get started. So these are not in order of how I read them. I just put them all on the thing, and so we're gonna take it one by one. Starting off, oh gosh, with Throne of Glass. Okay, so this is already off to a very scary start. I think I'm just gonna have to put it in. Oh, I should probably mention that I'm probably not going to give you synopsis or summaries of the books, because otherwise we will be here forever, but I'll just speak a little bit about each book and why it's going in the specific tier that it is. So Throne of Glass, this is gonna go into So Good, because if it was on its own, just a standalone fantasy, I probably would have put it lower because it's not my favorite book from the series, but because it sets up so much for the series, it has to go into So Good, because you just meet all these new characters and I just love that world. So it's gonna go into So Good. Then we have Gillian Flynn's Gone Girl. And right, so this one I'm oscillating between putting it between I Can See Why It's a Book, just not for me, and A Waste of Paper and A Waste of Your Time, because I feel like it's so repetitive. Like I feel like I've read several books that have the same sort of vibe, ending, characters, but once again it might just be that the book was not for me. So I'm gonna put it in I can see why, because like it wasn't really a waste of paper ish. It was okay. Like as you can see, I don't really care for the book. I'm gonna put it in a waste of paper. That took a very quick turn, but I realized I could definitely recommend you a better mystery thriller book than that one, so that's why it's gonna go there. Then we have One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid? No, Taylor Jenkins Reid. That is a phenomenal book. And it, like, when I was reading it, it was at the time where like it was just so beautiful, and it was hitting me so well. I'm just gonna have to put it in so good. Above Throne of Glass though. How do I move that? There we go. Above Throne of Glass, because it was such an interesting concept, and it was like something that I'd never done before, and even though it dealt with a trope that I'm not really a fan of, which is like love triangles, I was there for it. I loved that book so much, and I would just recommend everyone to read it, because it's actually such a breathtaking book. And her as an author, she just always has these addictive books and that are easy to read, easy to get into, but then they end up leaving you so broken. And check it out if you haven't. That was a really good book. Then we have Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. Okay, I feel like maybe a waste of paper is very harsh for me to do. Like I feel like there should be one in between here, but I'm too lazy to make another tier. So I'm gonna put it in I can see why it's a book. The reason why it's there is because I've read, once again, books that were very similar to that, but I just didn't really enjoy it. It was very much a subpar book. I probably wouldn't recommend it to people. I've forgotten about it, and that's about that. Oh, the next book we have is Beach Read by Emily Henry. Now this one might get me a lot of side eyes, but I did not really enjoy this book. I think, once again, definitely this is just not geared towards me. But I'm gonna put in I can see why it's a book, just not for me. It's really, I didn't connect with the characters. I thought that everything felt a little bit like it was in a rom-com, too much, and I think I'm not a fan of romance books where it's that sort of romance, if you get what I mean. So it's gonna go there. Then we have Caraval by Stephanie Garber. Now this, you know what, looking at these tiers, they really do need to be, I'm gonna change that to it was good. It was good, might recommend. Caraval's gonna go in it was good, might recommend, because it was, wait, no, actually no, it's gonna go into so good, because the first book in that series is actually really good, and I liked how Stephanie Garber writes. Her writing is just it's amazing. It's so fantastical, and I would recommend the series because of this first book. I feel like we should do the rest of the series then, which is probably what I should have done with Throne of Glass, but we'll get to that. Legendary and Finale, those can go into it was good, might recommend, because I cannot remember a single thing. I cannot remember a single thing that happens in those books. I just know that it was an okay like YA fantasy. I didn't hate the way that it ended, but I also, once again, cannot remember a single thing that goes on. I do remember, however, the events of Caraval, and that was a really good book. The trilogy as a whole, I would probably recommend, but definitely for the first book, because it's just so good. It's so good, and it has made me want to read more of Stephanie Garber's works, but there is a bit of a discrepancy in the first book and then the following books. I couldn't tell you what goes on. So because I'm now realizing I should do series together, I'm going to do the rest of the Throne of Glass series. This is going to get very tricky, all right? So in order, next up is Crown of Midnight. Crown of Midnight, I loved that book, okay? I actually love that book, because the core trio that you meet in Throne of Glass, the first book, I love each and every one of them. I love them so much, and Crown of Midnight just like goes into their relationships, so that's gonna go into so good. And then it's actually, I read The Assassin's Blade next. This one was, you see, it feels weird to have it not in so good, but I'm just gonna put it in it was good, might recommend. Like, obviously you need to read it because it's a part of the series, but it wasn't one of my favorite books in the series. I like how there are so many things that link up in the rest of the series, but it probably wasn't one of those like really good books for me. Then Oh wait, is it Heir of Fire next or Queen of Shadows? I think it's Heir of Fire next. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think it's Heir of Fire next. And Heir of Fire is gonna go into So So Good, because this is when the books start increasing in length and they start increasing in just gobsmackingness. Like, there's so much drama, there's so much different storylines are coming and engaging with one another. Like, there's no way for you to explain the Throne of Glass series to someone else without just saying read the whole series. Like, just read the whole series. Like, if this is something that interests you, assassins, kings, queens, court drama, fighting, action-packed scenes, just read the whole series. Read the whole series. You will not be disappointed. Next up we have Queen of Shadows, which is also going to go into So So Good. The Throne of Glass books that I have sort of in this section, they're my 4 stars and my 4.5 stars in the whole series. Then, why am I missing one? Oh, then we have Empire of Storms. That changed my genetic makeup, okay? That book, the ending of that book is actually criminal. Like, I think that's where I died reading the ending of that book, and just all the events of the series culminating to that point, and just everything that happens in Empire of Storms, it's so heartbreaking. And I cried so many times. I cried so many times while I was reading that book, and I really do think it's probably the peak of the series. There's a lot of growth and development for a lot of different characters in that book, and I just love it. I just love it so much. So it's my favorite of the entire series so far. Then we have Tower of Dawn, which is also going to end up in So So Good. I actually ended up liking that more than I thought I would. Hearing who it followed, I was initially a little bit hesitant, and I thought that I wasn't going to enjoy it. I thought it was going to be boring, but it was not. I really did enjoy it. It was a bit more tedious for me to get through, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. And you might notice that Kingdom of Ash is not here. I did not finish that in 2024, so I literally failed. My one goal last year was to read the entirety of the Throne of Glass series. I had a whole year. Did I do it? Nope, I didn't, but it's okay. Kingdom of Ash will be finished this year without fail. Okay, now that we're done with the Throne of Glass series, let's continue. Next up we have another fantasy. We have Powerless. Right. If you know me, you know I did not like this book. Sorry, I did not like it. I didn't like the main characters. I didn't like the relationship that was there. It also felt like everything had been done before. Put it in, I can see why. It's not that bad, it's just not for me. Okay, next up we have The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. This was... I can see why it's a book, but it's not for me. I think once again this was me realizing that I'm not really into books or like murder mysteries where the basis is marriage. I don't know why, but like I always get intrigued by it, where it's like, oh my goodness, the husband, the wife, who did this, da da da, and then I read it and then I'm disappointed. That's exactly what happened in Gone Girl as well. So I'm gonna put it in, I can see what's a book, because at the ending and like the way that the book actually goes, it's actually quite good, and I managed to finish The Housemaid in 2 sittings, and that's not how I usually read books. That's really fast for me. So it was very addicting, and the writing and the story was very gripping, but I just didn't really enjoy it in the end. So I can see why it's a book, but it's just not for me. Get a Life, Chloe Brown. It actually pains me to put this in a waste of paper and a waste of your time, but it was a waste of my time. Besides it being a cutesy love story, it also felt like it just was a rom-com in a book. And you know what, I don't know why this is so difficult for me to get behind, but when I look for romance books, I'm looking for a very specific type. You'll probably see because we're coming up towards the rest of them. But I just don't like ones that are, they're like too contemporary and like too, they just, if things go too well, I don't like it. I love a bit of stress, a bit of turmoil, a bit of struggle, to put a bit of perspective and realism into the romance. And so if that's not there, it's sort of, if the stakes are not very high, basically in my opinion, then I'm not going to enjoy the romance book. And the stakes were not high at all in Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Now is when we get serious, okay? So we're gonna find actually the first book of this series, which is Magnolia Parks. Ladies and gentlemen, this this series is unmatched. It's unparalleled to anything that I've ever read. It has roots in me that I don't think I will ever be able to get rid of. So we're gonna put the first Magnolia Parks book in so good. The thing is, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how. I feel like it could go into change my genetic makeup because of how strongly that book made me feel. I was ranting about this book to my sister, to everybody around me, anybody with ears. I was like, can you believe what's happening in the book I'm reading? And I was recommending the book like it was oh gosh, this book made me feel anger, hatred, love, passion. I didn't even think that I could ever feel this strongly about characters, and Jessa Hastings managed to do it in the first book of Magnolia Parks. And I was so mad at it that I was like, okay, I'm not going to continue the rest of the series. And then the book ends. The book ends, and you want to pick up the next one, and that's exactly what I did. So I'm really struggling on whether or not I should put this in change my genetic makeup, because it did change the way that I look at romance stories a lot. So we're going to keep it there for now, but we're going to look at the next book, which is Daisy Hates. This one was also so good. I loved it. There are moments actually where I think that I prefer Daisy and Christian's story compared to Magnolia and BJ's, which is very evident in the fourth book. But after Magnolia Parks, it's Magnolia Parks The Long Way Home. That one is also so good. The book, however, that changed my genetic makeup is Daisy Hates The Great Undoing. Because who did it undo? It undid me. It undid me. This is the book in the series that, like, oh, I don't even know how to begin to explain the the beauty that is this series. I love the Magnolia Parks universe so much. And it's so funny. It's so funny because I began reading this series and completely I hated it. I thought the characters were stuck up, which they are, so incredibly posh to the point where they're like insensitive about very serious topics, which they are. But I don't know what happened. You end up rooting for them and wanting the best for them because you understand that humans are inherently flawed. Humans always make mistakes, but that doesn't mean that you're not supposed to be happy. Want them to be happy. Plus, this book is where we get Julian's point of view in the Daisy Hates book as well, but in this book, yeah, it hurts. It hurts a lot. I cannot wait to do a reread of the Magnolia Parks series because I just love it so much. Anyways, all that to say, I love that series and I love that book in particular, but following that as well is Magnolia Parks Into the Dark, because the way that the Magnolia Parks Long Way Home ends is, quite frankly, it should not end in that way. I think Jessa Hastings probably should have taken a breather, thought about it, and was like, oh wait, no, this might actually destroy the readers that I'm writing for. She did it anyways, which makes going through Into the Dark that much more painful, but also that much more beautiful. So it did in fact change my genetic makeup because I cried every single other chapter. That is the Magnolia Parks series. I love it to bits, I really do. Next up we have Before the Coffee Gets Cold. This was translated from Japanese, and this was also so good. This was so good. I didn't know what it was or like literally what it entailed. It's basically like a collection of short stories that follow this one cafe and like the magical properties that it has. I just thought it was so beautiful, especially the last two. Those made me bawl my eyes out. And I just loved how beautiful it was and how simple it was as well. So I would definitely check that out. Next, we have the Windy City series. We have Mile High. I'm gonna put Mile High in might recommend. We're gonna speed run this because these ones are simple. My high goes into it was good, might recommend. The right move goes into so good because Ryan Shay is my husband. We've actually been married for years. I'm surprised you guys don't know. And then lastly we have play along, which I'm gonna put into it was good, might recommend. I have two different types of romance books that I'm going to be drawn towards. The first one is romance books like Magnolia Parks, which are like they just follow really flawed characters, and you just see how naturally they fall in love, fall out of love, how they deal with themselves and the people around them. And then we also have low-key like Wattpad type romance. Wattpad in the sense that it's just like outlandish stuff. Like he's an all-star hockey player. Did they say that for basketball or hockey? Whatever. He's like disgustingly rich, and then like I don't even know how to explain it, but those are my two options. They're at very opposite ends, and I'm okay with that. So that's why this series is very high up. I do enjoy it, but I can also see the flaws. Then we have Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. This one I'm actually also going to put into a waste of paper and a waste of your time because I guessed everything that was going to happen. It's a very interesting premise. Was not my book because once again it was one of those like really sappy romances, and I guess I can kind of deal with sappy romances, but like not in this instance. It was not great. Next up we have Lovely War by this is actually, oh wow, So Good has actually got a lot of books in it. But I'm gonna put that in So Good. It was an historical fiction that I did not envision me enjoying as much as I did. It was very culturally enriching. I actually learned a lot about the First World War that I did not know of. And I also just really loved it. It was a beautiful story. Then we have All Her Little Secrets. This was a waste of paper and a waste of your time because I could not tell you what happens in it. Cannot remember for the life of me. I actually forgot that I read that book. Say the same thing for Five Total Strangers. Like, it was a mystery book that was very predictable. Then we have Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. This one, I guess I can see why it's a book. It's just not for me. I didn't enjoy it. I love me a good cowgirl romance. I didn't love the Chestnut Spring series, but I did enjoy a few of them. This one, I don't remember what happens. And I think if I don't remember what happens, that really is the mark of a bad book. Yeah, it is what it is. Oh gosh. Then we have the Chestnut Spring series. I completely forgot that I read some of it this year, but I don't know what order this comes in. I think Hopeless is the last one. Reckless I know is with Winter. That one I did enjoy. So we're gonna put in It Was Good, might recommend. Powerless, don't know who that follows. We're gonna put in I Can See Why It's a Book, just not for me, as well as Hopeless, because I don't remember the events of it, and that's about it. I do remember, however, that I enjoy the found family aspect of it, as well as the cowgirl bull riding vibes. I just loved that. I loved it. Next we have The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. This one, I'll put it in It Was Good, might recommend, because the ending did completely, that plot twist was something that I did not see coming at all. Like the whole way through, I thought this one thing was gonna happen. I thought I was so 100% on it. And I think what Frida McFadden does so well is she makes you believe that you are so correct in whatever perspective that you have, and then at the very end she like completely changes it. Well, at least that's how it felt for me, because I did not see that plot twist coming. But for the majority of the first part, I thought that it felt very repetitive, and the only thing that saved it was the ending. So yeah, it was okay. Oh, I forgot to talk about Caught Up in the Windy City series. Oh, okay. It's also gonna go into It Was Good. Play Along is the newest one. Yeah, Play Along is the newest one. I actually enjoyed Play Along quite a lot because I love fake dating tropes, but I think they all pretty much can stay in that area, because they were sort of the same thing. Like, I just like, once again in this instance as well, the found family aspect, and just seeing the people that we meet from other books, and just like how their lives are going on as well. I just like the family sort of aspect of the books. Next up we have Five Survive by Holly Jackson. This was a good book. I don't remember much of it because that was like, I think, the first book that I read in 2024, but I remember enjoying it. I really do love Holly Jackson's writing. It's very quick, very fast-paced, easy to get into. and it was actually quite shocking. And that is something that I don't expect from a lot of YA books. Now we have our final book, which is Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. And this is going to go into so good as well, because I loved Divine Rivals, which I read actually at the end of 2023. And I really loved Divine Rivals so much. I cried over the two main characters. I just thought it was a very innovative story and something that we haven't seen for a very long time. And I just really loved it. I thought it was really beautiful. And in Ruthless Vows, I did enjoy it, and it like I did finish it very quickly. But I didn't like it as much as the first book. The first book would have gone into Change My Genetic Makeup because it did. If I go into how much I love that first book, we're gonna end up me here with tears. But that's every single book that I read in the year of 2024. I'd say that's a pretty good distribution. It shows that I didn't have too many books that I did not dislike this year. I'm very happy about that. I did want to be very picky about what would end up into the top tier, because those are supposed to be like my 5 stars, my 6-star reads, that sort of thing. So it makes sense that there's only 3. What's shocking to me is that 2 of them are from the Magnolia Parks universe. I'm very happy with this tier list. Let me know what you guys think of it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed just chatting about books, hearing my thoughts about them, and hopefully you've gotten yourself some sort of recommendations just, you know, by seeing the way that I talk about certain books. If you do, just let me know if you check them out. I hope to see you in my next video, and I'll see you later, guys.